Okay, I'm actually going to talk a little bit in this one. So, welcome back to another practice session in TidalCycles. So, this time I'm thinking I want to try just doing all the weird stuff I can with the, oh no, what do you call it? The curly brackets modulo syntax. Basically, I mean, like this thing. So, part of the part of the idea here is that a it's a syntax where it's like the thing after the modulus symbol is the number of events that actually happens in the pattern, and then it like wraps the pattern around if it's too small, or like kind of keeps continuing if it's too big. And so it's just kind of a nice way of getting variation with a regular beat and whatever, and it's something I almost never use, so it seemed like a good fit for a practice session like this. So we're just gonna mess around and see what we can do. So I don't know if you can how well you can hear that, but there's clearly, since we kind of have there's a relatively prime numbers there, it's giving us like a longer period before it wraps back around, and that's kind of fun. sort of cool. So I have no idea if this is going to work or if this is about to hurt our eardrums. So I didn't know about that parsing error. That's actually been fixed. I'm still running the teaching classes. I'm still running on 1.6 something, and not the 1.7 release. It's funny. Write a utility function that I've actually tried earlier. Okay, so I'm just kind of stopping sound for a second because this is actually really interesting. If you're watching and you notice I was like defining this function, right? And then I tried to use it with the sort of like hash symbol syntax, and that didn't work. It took me a second to remember, oh, right, because I defined this as an actual like composition of functions, and I would have needed to define it differently in order to actually have it to be able to be used with those like the hash or the pipe star operator and things like that. So I think what I needed to do is actually do something more like have this and then minus n over 5. Also, if you're watching and you wonder why there's moments where like I seem to make really weird typos, it's because I use a really tiny keyboard where I have to chord to basically do everything. I love it, but it does lend to strange things. Like if you see me type a capital N randomly, it's because I was actually trying to hit a question mark. So let me see. Is that the right type? And then I could say comp distort is equal to compensator distort. I think that should still work. But then now I think we can have the compensator. I can say like I think this should work right. Yeah, okay. And yeah, it's reducing the gain in order to compensate for distortion, making things louder. So we can do a thing like we can have the distortion get really So that's the point of it, and we can. I'm still sort of tuning what the ratio I want to be, but yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was actually a really interesting little mistake that might be illustrative for other people. It's even if you've been a Haskell programmer for a very long time, you can still get yourself all tied in knots over type signatures. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was a fun kind of self-contained little exploration of how to use the that syntax to get more texture and variation. Definitely feel like it's something that I should do more because I always feel like I rely on Euclidean rhythms too much. I mean, they're awesome, right? But it's I tend to rely on those. I tend to rely a lot on using randomly selected notes or melodies. And there's actually no randomness here. It was just very long period patterns. So that's fun. I feel like it's a nice way to get something that sounds a little different than stuff that's purely random. So I don't know, it's like a half hour of practice. Maybe I'll actually just call this shorter tonight. Okay. Well, so I hope if you watch through to the end, you learned some things, or at least got some inspiration, or could be amused at my my typos and confounding. Um, so yeah, until then, until tomorrow night, have fun in Tidal and make music and make mistakes.